Well, we are back. This is Extracted, and this is, well, you might think it's episode 3. It's like episode 2, Boils.
Right.
Yeah, we've had episode 1, Shannon, episode 1, Jared.
Now we're on to the second round.
This is episode 2, Shannon Boils, her story. And what we're doing is extracting our stories, because we got them.
We have them.
But people like us, you might be people like us, where there's just a lot in your head, and just to sit down and get it out is hard, let alone when it's swimming around, like when you're trying to, I don't know, hit a moving car with a wet mattress. Like, it's hard. It's hard.
It is.
And I don't want to whine and stuff, but it pisses me off because I want to write, and I do every day a little bit, but I also have to make a living down here.
Right.
And I get some out, and I have a Google Drive, which, by the way, I got to pay that bill because I canceled my credit card, and they're going to cancel my Google One or whatever, and it's so many documents. I know. I do want to take everything to DuckDuckGo because I don't want to be on Google, but it's a lot. It's a lot. They count on that. They count on suckers like me just sticking so much stuff on the internet that it's hard to move places.
It's a codependent thing.
It is. And we all are now, which could be our demise. But so this is the program. We're extracting the stories, and we'll have this record. And you might be thinking, well, this isn't for me. This is your story. No, but our stories are interesting. I mean, if you don't want to be here, great. Fine. Whatever. Do whatever. But these are good stories.
Great stories.
And there's a couple things here. One, of course, extracted, getting our stories. 2, are we still gamifying?
Absolutely.
Okay, we didn't mention it last time, because last time I was crying for 20 minutes.
I know you were.
But anytime someone requests to edit something out, the other person gets a point.
That's right. And we're still at 0-0.
0-0. And I thought, when did I think I was going to get you? I can't remember. Well, you were talking a lot about that first episode.
I was jumping all over.
The best episode is your number 1. Because you're talking about all this stuff with, these big companies and Alice Cooper, and she cares not.
Yours yesterday was incredible, or Monday, whatever. No, we're not competing. We're just getting it out. It's like verbal diarrhea in a very comedic form.
Yeah.
And you don't need any Pepto-Bismol.
Nope, you don't. You could just kick back, and here we are sharing stories. And when we last left off, you're so wanting to talk about getting sick, and I'm not letting you go there yet, because we talked about where you were professionally and how I looked at you enviously. I mean, just because it was like, oh my God, man, she's just living it up. And not that my life wasn't perfect, but you had that another thing going, and it looked fun. And here you are, you're doing roller derby, you're working in radio and sales, your calls are being recorded. That's how much juice you have in this town. Alice Cooper comes to you to get a restaurant. A lot of things. I may have embellished that last part.
Yeah.
But you worked with Alice Cooper.
Yes.
And then before we get to the sickness, there was 2 things I wanted to ask you about. The first was your love life. Do you want to go there?
Sure.
Okay. Because people soon will be talking about her getting sick, and it's going to be a lot, and it's going to be interesting, and it's going to make you think, wow, I have my health, and that's good. But first, I just want to set the stage to who you are at this point.
Stage setting.
Stage setting. We have all the texts. They're sweaty, and they're moving things around behind the curtain. And part of that is, you got the condo downtown, you're partying, you have all these things going on. Love life is good.
It was okay. I always was like the fat funny friend, and so I never really dated. Even when I was in college, I went to college a fat virgin, and I was in a relationship in my mid-20s. I think I was in it for 12 years.
Okay, you were virginal in college?
Even when I got to Durango, yeah.
Jesus.
I know. Because your episode, you're like telling me how pre-college you're getting laid all the time, and I'm like,
I had no idea. That's wow. So, okay. You should get a scholarship just for that.
If you would have seen me back, well, you did. But so anyway, I meet someone who had been sober for 2 years, and we began to see each other, and they relapsed, and then they would continue to.
So where are we? What year?
Let's see. That person and I started to see each other in the late 90s.
Was that the guy who turned out to be kind of a D?
I'm going to refer to this person as they who cannot be named.
This is the 90s guy. Or is this a girl?
I would say it's a choose your own adventure.
Okay.
Turn to page 33. if you want it to be a girlfriend and maybe to pay.
If you want me to edit out my question there, then
I
it's
don't.
not a point.
No, I'm not editing anything. I'm winning.
Okay, we're with someone right now.
Okay, yeah.
It's late 90s.
So I'm with someone, and they've relapsed, and it's just this. I was so ignorant, thinking if I tried hard enough, I could will this person to quit doing drugs and drinking when they're like an active alcoholic addict. And, you know, years after going to Al-Anon meetings and doing my own self-work, I've realized that, like, that's just silly. You know, I was just wasting 12 years trying to help someone who couldn't even help themselves. Anyway.
You were with this person 12 years?
Off and on, yeah. I know, right?
Wow.
So,
Some people call that marriage.
Well, we weren't married. And they lived with me on and off in the killer condo in the sky, which is what made me so sick. But I'm getting there. So, like I think we left off, it was the year 2000, 2001, 9/11 had happened. And I'm doing really weird jobs, like hustling side jobs and stuff, because I wasn't really finding that full-time Monday through Friday salaried position that I wanted.
Is this when you were shoveling snow?
I did that.
Yeah, I
know.
remember that. I was like, she's such a badass. I was like, she's freaking shoveling driveways right now. She's one of the most talented women in the city. She's shoveling driveways like that. That is that's a woman who knows how to make a living.
You know, going back to a previous episode, we were talking about the Second Gulf War and Bush Sr. And so on that day that the United States invaded the Gulf the second time, there was a monster blizzard in Denver that hit. And it was in the month of March.
2003, yeah.
And that's when I was shoveling snow for a living. And I just was so sore and pissed for days because I was like, I didn't have a snowblower. It was pure. And then, like, you'd shovel the whole walk and turn around. And by then, the snow had fallen so much it had covered again. Yeah. So you were just, like, hopeless, and it was horrible. So I was doing that. I was cleaning. I was just odd jobs to make my mortgage payment. And I end up getting hired by this media platform company that was a family friend. And thank God I got back into the world that I was trying to get closer to. And in the summer of 2005 was when I joined the Rocky Mountain Roller Girls. Mm-hmm. But just to go back, I had in 2003 began to like put weight on even more than what I had packing on me. So like I was husky and then some, like husky in the freshman 50 kind of a thing, going to the doctor. And I go to the female doctor and she's like, well, you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I was like, what?
What is that?
And it's like when you take an ultrasound, it looks like a woman's ovaries are wearing like a pearl necklace of cysts, but it can affect your endocrine system, your weight. It's like you have diabetes in your ovaries.
Wow.
Right. But at the same time, I was also eating like crap, not working out, sitting around.
And this could lead to diabetes in your ovaries?
I mean, I don't know.
But is that what the doctor thought?
No,
like, or
well,
did they know why?
She was trying to give me a metaphor of like, because I was like, how do I get this? Like, where does this come from? And that was the initiation for bizarre, weird symptoms to come. And so my body was reacting to inflammation in all areas. But what doctors mainly looked at in me were like my female parts and then like my GI system. So all your intestines and your bum and everything.
At this point, how old are you?
30.
Okay.
I'm almost 30. I'm 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've had a good run in your 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not at all excusing.
Right.
You know, this isn't like that sick bastard at the funeral that asked how old your grandpa was just so they can feel better about them dying.
Right.
Like, no, this is just, I'm just wondering.
I'm in my 20s, yeah.
Yeah, you're in your late 20s. And this is the first that you've seen. Is this the sickness related to the sickness eventually?
Yeah.
And this is the first you've seen of it.
Right.
Oh, God.
And I just think I'm fat and having bad female problems. And then I get put on this medication to treat the they call it PCOS for short. Women know it as PCOS. So I'm on that and living life, living with someone I'm fighting with all the time, and it's constant turmoil, you know. Mm-hmm. And that person used to be a professional wrestler. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. See, and this is in the days...
This is always more entertaining in life.
No,
yeah.
This is in the days of MySpace. That tells you how old...
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So the Rocky Mountain Roller Girls were a small, mighty organization at that point, and they reached out to They Who Cannot Be Named, saying, "We're starting a league. We see you are a professional wrestler. Would you like to join?" And,
they gleaned this from MySpace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so growing up here in Denver, I would go to Skate City every Saturday morning. And if there's one thing I could do, I could roller skate. I was so good. And to the point where the DJ would let me put out the orange pylons for the speed skating. And I had this cool skates. And
you're that person. And all of us are like zombie stepping and you're just gliding.
But I was like that fat person in like a green skate dress. So it was kind of
You were still that person.
So my parents divorced when I was 4 and my dad didn't get sober till I was 9. So he'd come to pick me up on Saturday mornings to go to Skate City. And I just thought he was a horrible skater. Like could never go backwards, and then come to find out he was hungover. He was still coming off Friday night. And he is taking me to like Ski City with a disco ball and the
He's still trying it out there,
he was trying to dad, right?
He's like, well, you sweat a lot, Dad.
Right.
Yeah.
And so They Who Cannot Be Named says, Shannon, I've heard about this new roller derby league in Denver and you love to skate. Like, you got to go check it out. And I was just like, yes. And on our birthday, on 7/7/2005, I showed up to this open, it was like not like an open skate, but you had to show that you knew how to skate. And all these women were there, and it was at the Wagon Wheel Roller Rink, which was in Thornton, Colorado. It's no longer there. And joined. It changed my life.
This sounds like you're about to get into something good, but is your health at all affected? I mean, you sound like you're being athletic right now.
I'm 210 pounds.
Okay.
That's how much I weighed when I joined.
Yeah.
I'm still having the crazy female issues.
Yeah. So there's stuff going on.
But
you overcome this, and you're like, I'm going to try out for roller derby.
Mm-hmm. So I start skating and hating, and I'm worshiping at the Church of Roller Derby. I found my trajectory. I was on fire. I loved it.
They called you Lucky. You were Lucky 7.
I was Lucky 7 because our birthday is 7/7/74. And side note, my dad, who's in radio, which you mentioned, he got his first job. First day on the air was the day I was born. Wow. So he always called me Lucky as like a nickname and still does.
Your mom's like, honey, are you coming over? He's like, I'm sorry. Got traffic on the 10s.
Yeah, traffic and weather on the 10s.
Yeah.
So I'm known as Lucky 7, and I joined the PR committee, obviously, and start just getting the word out, and was with the league for, I think, almost 10 years. But through that, I'm getting really, really sick, okay? So fast forward a little bit. We go to our first travel team game in Tucson, Arizona. They have a tournament.
This is big. You're traveling.
Yeah. And I meet a guy who drove down from Denver. He's our league super fan. And we end up dating. And
is this amidst
the other? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I had permission, though.
Okay.
But I didn't even know about, like, and I wasn't trying to be poly or open, but it was like, the person I was with we were fighting so much, they were like, go get your needs met somewhere else.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
So the super fan and I date. And while we're dating, he says he's going to cook dinner for me. And I'm trying to make this quick.
Don't make it. No, you're fine. Don't rush. Don't rush. And I'm just tired because I haven't had coffee. So it's not you.
I know. Don't let me keep you up.
No.
So he marinates chicken breasts in a can of orange juice concentrate and a can of tomato juice concentrate. He has a cookbook called A Man, a Can, and a Plan.
Dude, I have that cookbook.
Yeah, this recipe came straight out of there.
Yeah.
Cooks me dinner. I eat it. And in the next 3 days, I am dying at home. Can't leave my place. Both ends, not knowing what's going on. Finally called a cab and took a taxi cab to the ER at Rose, where I was there for 5 days and was diagnosed with 3 autoimmune diseases. Wow. And they were all GI related. So Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, and ankylosing spondylitis.
So Man Can Cookbook is still fine. You could get your recipes. It's not Man Can Cookbook Dysentery. Right.
And it's not the super fan because he's a wonderful person.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, did I have an acidic reaction to the chicken breast soaking up like concentrated tomato juice and orange juice? And, colonoscopy. So that starts Shannon being on high doses of prednisone, which is a steroid, not anabolic, but more like your health has to have the steroid. And I looked like a Cabbage Patch Kid as an adult for 15 years. My face was so puffy from the steroids, and then they had me on a constant cycle of antibiotics to keep an infection away. Well, not knowing, again, I'm going to kind of tease a little bit. In the future, I find out that I'm living in horrific toxic molds that were killing me. And that was what was causing all my sickness. But this was a 16-year journey of me living there, getting sicker and going in and out of the hospital, having life-changing operations, almost dying 3 times, being in the ICU.
Are you fast forwarding too much here?
No,
yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, the doctors had me on those steroids for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just want to know. I mean, I love this.
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't.
No,
love
I'm
it.
sorry.
I don't love it. I don't like
there's
this.
so much to unpack.
I know. It's okay. You can unpack.
I hate that.
It's okay. You're unpacking all your unmentionables right in front of everybody, but we like it. But I mean, I love that detail. The man, the can, the cookbook, and this doting fan.
Yeah, super fan.
I know.
He thought I was great.
Nearly kills you. Did he know that you got sick from the food?
Yeah, he came to the hospital.
Yeah. What was he thinking? Like, oh God, my whole career.
Well, the cool thing about him, he had a job. He worked for Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute as a ship captain. And so they had this ship that they would sail around the world doing deep sea dives, collecting specimens and things for Woods Hole. So he would be at sea and emailing me. And then when he was in Denver, we would go out. So while he was home was when this happened. And so he came to the hospital and he was, like...
Okay, first off, this guy sounds like a catch.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
It didn't work out, but he's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's good work.
Good guy.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what to do, but he was willing to be helpful and stuff. And so that was cool. But yeah, I stayed with the roller derby for years and loved it. And what's kind of sad about that was from taking 10 years of steroids, what I didn't know was that steroids can kind of like affect your ligaments and tendons and stuff. So we were scrimmaging. This was end of June 2010. And this girl hit me from behind and I fell into the splits with my left leg in the front. And I heard and felt a pop and then just like everything went white. And I couldn't get myself up off the rink. And I had torn my left hamstring off of my pelvic bone.
God damn it, boils.
And my teammate, her name was Ho-J Simpson. She's a teacher. She threw me in her car and we went to the urgent care on South Broadway. It's a Sunday. And they x-rayed me, but you can't see anything else. So they were like, you need to talk to your doctor, go in for an MRI. And at the time, the Roller Derby League has a team doctor who's an orthopedic surgeon. And she's also the doctor for the Nuggets. And her name's Dr. Leslie Vidal. She's awesome. She's at Rose Hospital. So I go to the hospital and she has me do an MRI. And she calls me. She's like, Lucky, we never see this injury. And I was like, okay. And she's like, we're going to need to go in your leg and reattach your hamstring somehow. Okay.
So she's used the word somehow, like science
well,
hasn't
she
figured
didn't
this
say
out.
somehow, but it was like,
yeah.
I kind of like took that as like, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Do you know anyone who could do this? Because we haven't done this yet. Yeah.
Meanwhile, my whole left leg from like the top of my thigh down is purple. I look like Grimace with one leg. It's full of blood, right? It's bruised. It's pissed. So they schedule me on our birthday of 2010. So it was like bookends. I joined the roller derby in 2005 on our birthday. And then here I am going and having surgery 5 years later. I end up staying with the league longer because I would also do the announcing. And,
yeah, I remember
that kind of when I wasn't skating. And so that broke my heart. Roller derby broke my heart. So I'm still getting sick. I'm on these also, they're called immune suppressant biologics, and they're in the chemotherapy classification of medicine, but you've heard them on commercials. It's like Remicade, Stelara, these drugs that are really powerful, but they lower your immunity.
Yeah, they have lots of whisper side effects.
May cause suicide
Exactly.
ideation.
While this
May
person
give
rides a
you
mountain bike on a
yeah.
sunny day, we want to remind you about deadly diarrhea. Yeah.
So I'm in this confluence of being immune suppressed, being on high levels of steroids, prednisone, and living in the most nightmarish toxic mold and mycotoxins man can
But
conceive.
the difference is no one's suspecting
No
that.
one knows. No one, and the 100 times I went to the hospital, no one was like, Shannon, tell me about where you live. What kind of structure are you in? Any chance you've got asbestos, mold, lead in your water?
Nobody said that.
Not once.
See, that's interesting because it goes, like I just went through a lot of this with my son.
Yes.
And we found out he has type 1 diabetes, and we were going all over the place trying to figure out what it was, and nobody was checking his fluids. And not until I went total Karen on him, and it was like, check his fucking fluids.
Yeah.
And then he was on his deathbed by then. But that's interesting because, like, the main part of us as an organism is food and shelter,
Oxygen.
fluids, oxygen.
Yeah.
Like, we should start there.
Right. Hi.
Yeah, right. And so going back to your uterine pearl necklace, that's what that is.
Yes, it
Okay.
is. Okay, right, because I didn't even get to this part. Okay, but go ahead.
No, I'm going to pause because it almost sounds like, because I want more details.
So,
Because right now, thanks to her descriptive ability, we have a grimace on steroids who looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid who just
I have pictures.
has had a while. Get those. I'm trying to draw a picture right now, which you already did. Who's had a hamstring come off, and her uterus has gone to Jared without her. That's all we know.
Okay, so before the hamstring rips off, we're going to rewind to 2006.
It's a rewind.
2006. So not only did I have the pearl necklaces around my ovaries, or however you phrased it, I'm getting fibroids, right? These giant things. And,
When you say giant, how big is that?
well, the big one they took out when they took everything out was 9 pounds.
What the fuck?
When I said that I've lost weight through body parts, I mean, like,
Yeah.
but hang on, because
Wait, from whence was this moved? Was this
okay, I'm getting there.
Okay.
So, December 2006, we play in the first ever USA versus Canada roller derby bout. Okay, we fly from Denver to Edmonton and play against the Edmonton Oily Rollers or something like that.
Yeah.
I come back knowing I'm going to have a total hysterectomy. I'm 32 years old.
Okay, I know you're about to have a life-changing surgery, but did you beat the Canadians?
Yeah, we actually we beat them so bad. We said we're good at halftime.
Oh,
Because
wow.
they were just getting started, you
Yeah.
know, and it takes a while to learn how to fall and take hits and stuff. So, and it's no diss on them, no diss on anybody.
Okay, I know you're about to do something amazing.
Yeah.
But I just want to know something. Is the person you can't be named still on the team?
They were never on the team.
Oh.
They were contacted because they were a professional
and then-
wrestler, and they were like, hey,
No,
but they were also a big fan of mine, not to get confused with the super fan that I also dated.
Right, yeah.
Right.
And this goes to show that roller derby right now is your life. Like, every part of your life.
I made that league my priority over my family, my job, everything. And so when I got sick and slowly kind of slipped into the ether and no one really ever reached out, I learned a really painful, hard lesson on like when the chips are down, you really find out who your friends are, who you can count on, you know? So, okay, back to December 2006. I'm in Canada. I fly back knowing I'm having a total hysterectomy, which means they're taking everything. Like I'm going to be an empty vessel. Okay. So I'm cool with it. I check into the hospital and I'm thinking I'll be down 6 weeks off my skates. Like how soon can I be skating again? And sure enough, I go home from the hospital and went right into surgical menopause, which is a trip at 32.
Yeah. Does that mean hot flashes and all that
Hot
stuff?
flash, I mean, all of it. Before that procedure, I was really angry. Like, I don't know if you remember that, but I was like a ball of fire. And then it morphed into like angry, sad griefness where it was just like, it wasn't that I wanted to have kids, but it was that the choice had been made for me. I didn't get to call the shots on, I'm now neutered, I'm now, is this a coin purse? What is this now? My magic glove? What's going on? So 6 weeks, I'm ready to put my skates back on, and I did. And
6 weeks after your hysterectomy.
Yeah, but thank God I'd done Pilates, and I still do Pilates, and had some core strength, but it was like, back to the fibroids. They were going to do this through the old vagisil, right? They were going to go right up the old baby canal and pull everything out.
Because it was a baby.
Right.
Yeah.
But because one of these fibroids in my uterus was 9 pounds, they had to do a C-section on your girl.
Oh, God.
So I have a C-section scar without having children. Explain that.
Oh, wow.
And then they were like, and then they grabbed all the goods and so I'm like super glued, stapled. Everything was like, and you felt like you got punched in the gut. And during my recovery, my brother came over, and I remember we watched Talladega Nights, about Ricky Bobby, and it hurt to laugh, but it was great. So I go back, and I'm like, but then I'm getting sicker and worse, and weirder things are happening to the point where the GI doctors are talking to me about an ostomy. And I was like, what? And still, like, no one in my family has these weird diseases. What's all of this about? What's going on? Yeah, I feel like I need to take a pause. I don't know.
Well, okay, so far that's been pulled out of you. Is every part of your female reproductive person gone?
Everything, all of it.
And a fibroid the size of a baby.
9 pounds. And
that's it so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, fallopian tubes, uterus, ovaries, and the connecting stuff.
Yeah, I didn't want to sound like an idiot, but I wanted to ask, like, what is the all-encompassing hysterectomy package? And that's that. That's, wow.
It's like the whole Megillah.
Yeah, and then menopause.
Right.
No more periods.
Which is a really great thing, but the emotional roller coaster for me to get there, not knowing my brain was inflamed from the mold and all these things, oof, those were dark nights of the soul, my friend. And like, I would go through these rolling blackouts of depression, of just like,
oh yeah,
and people would be like, come on, just like the guy I dated, he was like, come on, everybody loves you, just be happy. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But he didn't understand, and I don't fault him. But I think I was real hard to be around for a long time. So that's still years away from what gets worse and worse, and then ultimately finding out what I was dealing with. And to wrap it up in a nice bow, let's fast forward a little bit to 2014. And fun fact about Shannon, I used to work in the very regulated Colorado cannabis industry, and I worked for the state-certified testing laboratories. So all the products had to go through potency testing, microbial testing, and then like heavy metals on all the stuff that gets flour turned into concentrates. And I'm working with a woman who's a toxicologist. And throughout all these years, not only have I had so many surgeries and things taken out, including a 10-hour emergency surgery to remove my whole large intestine because it was black and it was going to explode. And my skin had gotten so much worse. Like, it was like adult acne and then some. Like, I joke that, like, I look like Freddy Krueger and a meth head had, like, a love child. Like, my skin was not the kind of acne that you would get as an adult. It was really weird. And I was almost felt like I was real full of water and swollen, and just, I was distorted looking.
This is 2014.
Well, yeah, I think it even started back in like 2011.
So, so you're already dealing with some depression because of...
Right. So, like, I've already been Frankenstein, and then my skin's jacked up.
And you just casually mentioned your large intestine. Is that gone now?
Yeah.
In 2014?
I've never had it. Yeah. So,
okay, bye.
10 years ago this month, I had the ostomy that they gave me, I had it taken down.
Uh-huh.
So an ostomy is like either a permanent or a temporary, and it's an opening in the body to route your intestines away from your bum to another area, because I was so inflamed that I was so sick that they were afraid I was going to get sepsis and it not be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are multiple hospitalizations, including spending our birthday in the ICU in 2011. And again, no one's asking me about where I live. And I'm on the top floor of a condominium building, a high-rise, going like, what the fuck? Like this... I'm not going to ask for an edit.
You can cuss.
No, I
You
know.
don't normally
I'm trying not
I'm
to.
the classless cusser.
I know. That's me, and I'm trying to be
and
better.
You know what's amazing? How strong this woman is that you're talking about having a majority of you pulled out through your hoo-ha, and you don't want to cuss. Okay, amazing. I stubbed my toe when I'm inventing words.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that would bring down kingdoms.
Stubbing your toe hurts.
Different, yeah. Biting tongue, stub toe, yeah.
And like, there's so much that I just overwhelm people, and that's what I get concerned with, because people are like, "Whoa, next video," you know.
No,
like,
it's okay. No, I think it's okay, and I think it's a good place here. Maybe just, are you okay with pausing here?
Yeah.
But I just have one question.
Hit me.
They successfully reattached the hamstring?
They did, and I am probably the only person you'll ever know in your life that has had not one but two ostomies, both taken down, and I'm reconnected just from my small intestine to the back door.
Yeah.
So I'm
Small
like a
intestine,
human pinata.
Yeah.
Like, I could be used as like a biologic weapon myself.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. So there's silver lining. Like, you know, the good news is I don't have an ostomy today, and I'm getting healthier day by day. I found out in 2016 what I was living in, and I got the F out, and I'm still alive. I don't know if like I was a cockroach in a past life and just can weather like, you know, a nuclear blast or what, but I've had these tests in life of like, how much can a person take?
Well, and we have further episodes.
And we haven't even done the face cancer.
Yeah, we haven't
stuff.
even done that stuff yet, and we have a lot to go with just what you're dealing with here. And so,
I know it's a lot.
mean, at 2014, hysterectomy, large intestine gone, fibroid the size of a baby. You got the ostomies.
Right. Well, okay. So this is like from 2006 to 2014. I've at least had the hysterectomy and one ostomy. And then in 2017, I get the second ostomy. And then in 2022, I had cancer in my face and had to use the inside of my cheek to fix.
Now you're really leaping
That's
ahead.
a tease.
Yeah, it's a tease. Okay,
It's
we're
a tease.
teasing. Nothing like, yeah. The old face cancer tease.
Little mold face cancer tease.
No, I want more. I want more. Well, anyway, it's just amazing you're here in good spirits and sharing this.
And
with...
here's a prediction. This is going to be the lowest rated podcast out of the group, I think, because of the TMI and the very detailed grotesqueness.
No, because this person's been through all this shit and she's beautiful and sitting right there.
Well, but you've known me forever, and I appreciate you saying that, but there is shit involved.
Well, I didn't even know you were going through all that.
I was so ashamed and embarrassed, and I know we're trying to wrap up, but I was so ashamed and embarrassed. Nobody knew. Like, I've disappeared.
You started disappearing from social stuff.
Yeah, and like, I haven't posted on any socials in over a decade.
You're going to live longer than anyone just because of that.
There's no pictures of me anywhere. And it's like I turned into Boo Radley and became somebody I don't even know.
And we're going to find out exactly why, not the next episode, because that'll be my lame-ass stories. But the next episode of Extracted, no one lost points today. We're getting the stories out as well of all of your organs. This is a total unleashing of...
This was extracting some shiz.
For real.
I think we need to put a disclaimer before the podcast saying, like, you know, we get it if you want to bug out.
You know what? Fine. And people will listen even more so. I'll put a disclaimer on the front. And like I used to, like when I'd go to my grandma's and watch scrambled HBO, if I could see there was going to be violence and nudity, I'm in.
But none of this is like scrambled HBO.
We're going to be talking about lady parts. That's what I'm saying. We're talking a lot about lady parts.
This is another funny thing is that I too tried to unscramble, excuse me, HBO and Cinemax when our cable first came out, when you had the long cord with the box thing where you would,
Oh, and I could see a nipple from a mile away in a snowstorm just because of that. All right, this has been Extracted. Oh, sorry, I almost moved your camera.
No, that's probably a good thing.
And it's another episode in the can.